I've been seeing a lot of comments on YouTube saying that Longines is actually catching up with Omega in terms of quality. Today we're going to compare the two from an owner's perspective. Let's flip the camera around and take a closer look at these two watches. Right, it's time to compare these two watches head to head and see which one comes out on top. Let's get started with the price. So as of today's recording, the Omega Seamaster Professional comes in at $5,900 US. And of filming today, the Longines Hydroconquest GMT comes in at $2,975 US. So as you can see, with the price point of almost 50% less, you can get a GMT function in a dive watch, which I think is absolute value for money. So the Longines definitely gets a double point for being half the price of the Omega. Right, let's go to the dial. Let's have a look at the Omega dial. This one is the white dial variant. It has a ceramic dial with this waves cut into it. Absolutely gorgeous dial. The black contrast of the hands and the markers and the minute track just is absolutely stunning here. Absolutely stunning. I really love this variation of the Omega Seamaster, sorry. Really love the white dial variant. And this variant of the Hydroconquest is the blue, which also has an amazing dial. Really nice. Awesome sunburst effect. Really nice minute track and markers. My one gripe is that they didn't put a circle date window. I think a circle date window would really balance out the dial because of the circle hour markers at 9 and 6 o'clock. I think a circle date window would fit quite nicely there. So as much as I love the Longines dial, the winner is definitely the Omega for dial, definitely. Bezel action, let's have a look at the bezel. The Omega comes with a scallop bezel with a ceramic insert. Let's have a look at the action here. The action is silky smooth. And with these scallops, they kind of fit perfectly with your finger. I can imagine it would be slippy if you're wearing gloves, and there's minimal backplay there. So the bezel is really nice on the Omega. Let's have a look at the Longines bezel. Very similar in style. It also has a ceramic insert, but it has a very large tooth bezel. So let's see, let's feel what this feels like. From the get-go, it's much stiffer. Still has a crisp action, but it's much stiffer to move. And these cutouts, they do feel a little sharp on the finger, but very minimal. A little bit of backplay there. So the winner is definitely the Omega for the bezel action. The bezel action is just silky smooth, zero play. So easy to rotate, such a joy to rotate, and very accurate. Right, now for the lume. Let's go for lume. Right, lume. As we can see, the Omega Seamaster has fantastic lume. Really nice lume. I like the way that the minute hand and the lume pip are a kind of darker green, so the kind of like bluish green of the hours and the hour hand. For the Longines, everything is the same color. It's about the same brightness, I'd say. It's very hard to tell the difference in its potency at the moment, but I have made videos before that suggest that the Omega lasts longer for low light conditions. And because of the multi colors of the Omega, I'm going to give the point to the Omega Seamaster. So that is 1 point for the Omega for the loom. Not looking good for Longines so far. Let's have a look at the case. So we're going to start with the Longines case, and it is very nicely finished. The case is excellently finished. Got a little bang there actually, oh no. Got a little dent. I've dented my Longines. Anyway, the case is nicely finished. The lugs, they flow nicely into the bracelet. Everything on the case is very well finished. The brushing is very nice. The case back is very well executed. The crown guards flow nicely into the crown. There aren't any sharp edges. Everything on the case is very well made. Let's have a look at the Omega. The Omega case is on another level with the brushing and the polish into these kind of sweeping lugs that flow into the bracelet. I have to say that I prefer the integration of the bracelet on the Longines than I do to the Omega, but that's for the bracelet. Just in terms of the case at the moment, the case is very well finished on the Omega, as to be expected. The crown guards flow almost seamlessly into the crown. Feels very nice. And the case back with the movement on display looks fantastic. It does seem like I'm being biased here, but the Omega definitely has the better case, the more distinct case. You look at this case and you think Omega, you know? If you look at this case, you know, you could almost think Rolex. So for its originality, the case point has to go to the Omega. Right, movement. This movement is a display case back movement with the 8800 caliber. The movement is expertly finished. It is fantastic finish on this movement. The actual feeling of the movement, the winding, feels buttery smooth. The action to change the time feels very smooth as well. There is nothing on this movement that doesn't feel excellently finished. The movement feels spectacular. But there's one trick up the Longines sleeve, and that is the GMT movement, a true traveler's GMT movement. And that is a big deal at the price point that it currently sells at. A true traveler's GMT for less than $3,000 is crazy money. Crazy good, not crazy bad. The movement also feels buttery smooth to change. Winding feels excellent as well. Excellent. It does not have a display case back, but that is okay by me. And because it has a true traveler's GMT and it is just as well finished as the Omega, this is the first point going to the Longines for movement. Definitely the Longines GMT movement is fantastic at this price point. Now for bracelet. I know Omega for some reason love this non-tapering bracelet. The bracelet is excellently finished. It is superbly finished. The brushing is excellent. The polishing is fantastic. The feeling is nice. It does have screw-in links, and everything feels very nice with this bracelet. The bracelet is very comfy. It is very comfortable. It doesn't pinch hairs. I have a few hairs on my arms. It doesn't pinch hairs at all, but it is bulky. It is bulky and it is cumbersome. That is the drawback of the Omega bracelet. Longines, on the other hand, has this fantastic taper on these H-style links. They are push pins, they are pins, but the sides are polished beautifully. The brushing is excellent, and like I said before, the integration of the bracelet into the case is fantastic with the female end link, allowing the bracelet to fit very nicely on most people's wrists, and the taper is fantastic. Fantastic. I don't have a problem with pins. I know some people prefer screws, but I don't have a problem. I've never had a problem with pins. Adjusting is very easy for the bracelet. So in my opinion, that is another point for the Longines for bracelet. The bracelet is definitely fantastic. The bracelet, the way it tapers, is definitely looks better quality and more thought out than the Omega. Now for the clasp. Omega also have a very bulky clasp. It is signed, double push deployant, milled clasp. It is a fantastic clasp, very easy to use, and it has a micro adjustment. This micro adjustment locks in place, so you must push this button to change the micro adjustment. And there is a diver's extension, which I think is a little bit overkill. I don't think you need this diver's extension. If they got rid of this diver's extension and slimmed down the clasp, it would be much better. I don't see any reason for this function, and I'm sure most Omega owners might not even know that that exists. So the clasp is excellent quality, but it is over-engineered in my opinion. Now for the Longines, the clasp is also fantastic quality. The way this has been milled to flow into the bracelet design is very Rolex-esque, you know, it's very Rolex inspired, but that's not a bad thing, you know, because Rolex have some of the best bracelets and clasps on the market. Again, it's a double push deployant with a milled and signed clasp. Has a very nice embossed logo, and it also has a quick adjustment, right? But this one, you don't need to push to close it. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So you push it to open, and you can just push it in to close. The wearability and ease of use of this clasp, it makes it less bulky. You know, the clasp is definitely nice on the Longines. So again, the winner has to be the Longines for the clasp overall. It has to be. Now let's tally up the scores. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 total for the Omega, and for Longines we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the winner, purely for its price point, is the Longines Hydroconquest GMT. So if you are in the market for a diver, bearing in mind this still goes to 300 meters just like the Omega, this is the winner in terms of value for money, value proposition. If you're looking for a dive watch, then the Longines is very, very hard to pass up.